but trading Aiyuk could be a huge deal for San Fran.
I personally believe so because I view Brandon Aiyuk as being one of the most underrated players, not at the wide receiver position, but in the entire NFL. What he does, and part of the reasons why he's so underrated is because when you look at the San Francisco 49ers, everyone is talking about Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Kyle Shanahan as the head coach and also the play caller. But when you look at Brandon Aiyuk and what he provides for this football team, the last 2 years, Doggy and Kate Martin, Christine, he's led the San Francisco 49ers in targets, receiving yards, and receptions. You also look at how explosive he is as an individual, as a wide receiver. 28 is the number. That's how many catches he had of 20-plus yards or more. We know when you talk about the NFL how important it is to create and have explosive plays to make things easier for your quarterback. Now, talking about Brock Purdy, there are a few games where Brock Purdy had to lean on Brandon Aiyuk. And I look at that Cleveland Browns game where you had a lot of struggles going on early on. But when he needed the drive to come down and try to win the game with his field goal kicker and get them in field goal range, Brandon Aiyuk was a guy that he went to. You look at the game versus the Detroit Lions in the third quarter. It was Brandon Aiyuk with that 51-yard catch and also on that same drive, a 6-yard touchdown. So Brandon Aiyuk, when it comes to being a true natural wide receiver, is the best on the San Francisco 49ers. He's the guy that creates those explosives through the year. 37%. That's the number, of the percentage, I should say, that he, when it came to explosive plays for San Francisco through the air, that's what he meant to their offense. So Brandon Aiyuk, man, is the most, I think, one of the most underrated wide receivers in the National Football League. He can run every route on the football field. He can route you up. You talk about getting in and out of breaks, sinking his hip, crisp routes. That's what he provides to the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, I think we've seen too many wide receivers get a little overhyped, and then they go somewhere else, and the team that lets them go still wins, and the team that gets the receiver doesn't win. Tyreek Hill, perfect example. Davante Adams, Packers win, goes to the Raiders, they don't win.
Don't do this.
Well, it's true.
The show just started. Don't do this.
Yeah, I'll get you mad right out of the gate. So Ayuk's a very good player. Harry knows all the route stuff a lot better than I do. But if you look at the receivers in the NFL, you're going to have a struggle to get him in the top 10, the great receivers. You're going to work hard to put him in that top 10. You know, you think about, obviously, what's going on with A.J. Brown and with Chase and with Jefferson, Davante Adams. Those four are better than him right out of the gate. I even think the kid down in L.A. is better. The kid from BYU, he's great. He had an incredible year.
Well, I won't go that far.
Okay.
Well, Detroit's receiver's better.
Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
He's a better receiver than him. So my point is, and the Niners are so good offensively, and with Kittle and with McCaffrey and with Samuel, Purdy spreads the ball around. He's a great play caller. They would figure it out.
Okay. Let's be clear. 81% of Brandon Aiyuk's targets went for either touchdowns or first downs, right? So he is underrated. If he were in another offense, we just talked about this morning. If he were in another offense where they were getting him the ball at the same clip as Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown, his numbers would look different. Within the San Francisco 49ers offense, Brock Purdy, I'm a big Brock Purdy believer, but his numbers wouldn't look as pretty without Brandon Aiyuk. That said, listening to Dan's take felt like, okay, that seems a bit much. Will they miss him? Yes. But part of the genius of the 49ers, what makes them so great, is the fact that they have a plethora of weapons, right? Like last time I checked, Kittle's still there, CMC, Deebo, Trent Williams, Fred Warner. They've got guys, multiple playmakers. They got playmakers everywhere on this football team. They also have the genius of Kyle Shanahan. That is the thing that makes me say, you know what, it will hurt. But it won't be, I'm not crossing off the San Francisco 49ers and saying, oh, well, that's it. They're bums now because they don't have Brandon Aiyuk. Same way in Buffalo. I'm not writing off the Bills.
Well, can I say this about Kyle Shanahan? He's a genius until you get to the Super Bowl, right? Because he completely forgot about Brandon Aiyuk, and he even spoke about that as well.
You had to get that.
I had to get that in. Listen, he hasn't won the big game.
No, agreed. But we're also... That is fair, but we're also understanding that Kyle Shanahan is one of the top offensive minds in the NFL. Okay,
no doubt.
So we agree there. So the same way I look at Buffalo, Josh Allen, they lost Stephon Diggs. I don't think suddenly, okay, now we just say the Bills, oh, they're irrelevant. I think at this point they have a collection of players in San Francisco where it will hurt. But they know that they have weapons beyond just Brandon Aiyuk.
I think also, Doggy, let me say this about the system in San Francisco. I think San Francisco values, from the skill position standpoint, Brandon Aiyuk for this reason. This is a run-centric offense. Everything starts with the run game. The pass game comes off it as well. Play action, bootlegs, waggles, everything that they do offensively comes off the run game. So with me saying that, when you look at a Christian McCaffrey, led last year the NFL in rushing yards, everything's going to go through him. When you look at George Kittle, he's a guy that also can do it in the pass game, but he's a major extension of that run game, blocking at the point of attack on the edge as a tight end. When you look at Deebo Samuel coming in motion, getting speed sweeps, can line up in the backfield, he's an extension not just in the pass game, but also the run game. When I look at Brandon Aiyuk, even though he has a ton of plays where he's running downfield, chasing guys, getting blocks for his receivers or running back when they're, trying to take it the distance, he's not more so connected to the run game like those other three are. That's why I believe San Francisco views those three higher than Brandon Aiyuk.
Dante's agent pumped the brakes on a possible Rodgers-Adams reunion, telling our own Adam Schefter, this is baseless, unfounded speculation, and Davante is expected to be with the Raiders, as there has been absolutely no trade talk, period. Adams himself joined Shannon on Club Shay Shay last night. Take a listen.
If the Jets offered a package big enough to satisfy the Raiders' need and you be reunited with Aaron, would that have been something you'd have been open to?
Well, I'll answer it like this. If I'm going to be reunited with anybody, it would be Aaron.
Okay.
But, or be, relocated and be anywhere, it would be with Aaron. But that's not really my, there's a lot of that stuff going on last year in the media and them asking, well, what are you going to do about this? Are you thinking about going here? And they talk about whatever without me even being involved in it. And it ended up getting all the way to the point where it got in the locker room and people was thinking that it was, I was the driving force. And I'm like, y'all just don't understand, man.
Okay, Doggy, now's your time to sound
What do
off.
you think?
You think it'd be smart?
Well, number one, why did he
Adams?
leave Aaron Rodgers to begin with, for crying out loud? He was with him, and he'd go to Derek Carr. I mean, so he had the quarterback with him, and he still left.
In fairness to Davante, Aaron wasn't letting anybody know what was going on. There was all this.
That's
he's
fair,
retiring.
but-
What's he doing?
But he did.
But let me say this about Derek Carr, because I had a chance to go work out with Davante Adams and Derek Carr out in the Bay Area. How in sync those two guys are with one another and their friendship, I can understand why he made that move. On top of, the Raiders gave him his money that he wanted. Green Bay did not give him his money.
Yes.
Again, if you're who's better? And remember, Rodgers did play there for the 1 year without Adams, so he left Rodgers prior to Rodgers going to the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a great receiver, you got to play with the great quarterback, right? Don't you have to play with the better quarterback? That's what I would do.
So what do you think about the Jets?
I think this is ridiculous. The Jets have enough distractions. It's New York City, and now you're gonna basically cow down to Rodgers again. You do everything that Rodgers wants. You draft players that he wants. You bring receivers in as he wants. You do everything for him. You let him miss mandatory camp to go to Egypt, for crying out loud. And now you're going to go, hey, Aaron, we're going to make you happy again. We're going to bring in Davante Adams. They gave $15 million to Mike Williams, didn't they? They got Garrett Wilson. They got Garrett Wilson sitting there, who's a great receiver. They got a big running back. They got a pretty decent offensive line. They got a big defense. If the Jets need Davante Adams to get over the top, well, then Joe Douglas did an awful job building a team to begin with. They should be good enough right now to do big things.
You're killing me today.
Go ahead.
You just started. Here's the thing. Let's make it clear. It would be asinine for the Jets not to try to get Davante Adams. You know why? Because it's the Jets. Everything you laid out everything you said is true. They got Garrett Wilson. They got Mike Williams. They got Brees the Beast, right? Yeah. But you don't just stop. Like, oh, okay, so because they have a good roster, you don't want to add a great receiver? Arguably, in my mind, like top 2 receivers in the NFL?
Probably, yeah.
Here's the thing with the Jets. You have gone all in, and I have watched this team for years. All in on this is our moment. This is our guy. We finally have a future Hall of Famer at quarterback. We cannot lose. So much is riding on this season. Jobs are on the line. Don't push everything into the middle of the table and then say, you know what, yeah, Davante Adams, that's a price too steep. No, go all in, because you cannot leave anything to chance. You are in a division with Buffalo. You are in a division with Miami. You are in a conference with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, a healthy Joe Burrow. C.J. Stroud. Listen, just because they have a good team, you look at the Eagles. Every time I turn around, it seems like Howie's adding somebody else. It's like, don't they have enough players? It's not enough until you win a chip. That's what it's about, doggy. So to me, if Aaron Rodgers said, yo, I can't wait to play with my boy again, and Davante's like, I want to be in Las Vegas, but let me tell you, if there's anywhere that I'm relocating for anybody, it's going to be Aaron. Figure out how to get that done. And again, this is not Davante saying he wants to be a Jet now. This is come Halloween, if the Raiders season is in the tank and they're looking around like we're paying this guy a lot of money and we're going nowhere, then the Jets have to hop on the phone.
Now, I would say this, looking at the Jets and their roster on paper, do they have enough right now? Yes, they do. But health plays a major part in it. Can they be healthy? But Joe Douglas's job as a GM is to exhaust every possibility possible to be the best that you can as a football team. And if you're able to get Davante Adams at some point, and I think it's different from, Dalvin Cook last season. Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers played 8 seasons together. 6 of those years, I should say the last 6 of those years, 5 of the 6, Davante Adams had double-digit touchdowns. But it's the music that they were able to make on the football field, the chemistry, moving together as one. Aaron understands where Davante is going to be. Davante understands where Aaron is going to throw the football. And the fact that those two guys can think alike and be on the same page, you can't ignore that. I love Mike Williams. I love Garrett Wilson. But with Aaron Rodgers and that chemistry that he has with Davante Adams.
Talk about the music, Aaron.
You can't ignore that if you're able to get it because, and I'll say this too, Doggy, when you brought Aaron Rodgers over in that organization, it's Woody Johnson, it's Joe Douglas, and it's Aaron Rodgers.
So yes, Aaron actually above.
You are going to exhaust every possibility for Aaron Rodgers because that's basically what you said. That's what you said when you brought him in. And that's what you've been doing up until this point. Why would you stop doing it right now? But Davante Adams would be a massive upgrade to their wide receiver group. But I will say, I think health is the most important because if they're not healthy, it's not even going to matter regardless.
Yeah.